One by one the other girls joined in, their small voices rising together, quick of ear and sure of heart. Even Lesthara, standing at the tunnel's mouth, lent her clear river-like tone to the harmony. The spirit in the pool froze as if struck. The haunting notes seemed to reach into its formless heart, stirring a memory too old to name. It trembled, the black water shedding tendrils of its darkness like tears, and a faint glow of pale green rose through its hollow eyes. "I remember," it rasped, softer now. "I remember the gardens. They sang. They called us home." The girls held the final note, letting it fade into the roots and stones, carrying with it a promise of hope. As the final echoes of the song settled among the twisted roots, Daisy wiped a tear from her cheek. Her heart ached for the strange spirit, so full of pain and loss. She turned to the others, blinking away tears. "Let's give it something," she urged. "Something to remember the light and love of growing things." Primrose, Belle, and Myrtle nodded, all four of them fumbling through their packs with quick, determined fingers. Primrose plucked out the rosebud, which was just starting to open up, that she had woven into her hair behind her ear. It was golden, like the hair of Goldberry, and red like Lesthara's cheeks. Belle carefully unwrapped a small square of woven cloth, embroidered with leaf patterns in green thread. Myrtle, after a frantic rummage, pulled out a tiny jar of golden honey butter, saved from Goldberry's table, sunlight captured in sweetness. And Daisy herself, hand shaking, offered a small polished stone she'd picked up by the withy windle, warm and smooth from countless touches. Together they stepped forward, holding these simple treasures toward the shadowed figure in the dark pool. "These are for you," Daisy said softly, "to remember there is still good in the world and that growing things live on." The spirit drew the offerings close, folding them into its hollow chest like a child cradling a keepsake. Its shape grew calmer, more defined, the ragged edges smoothing into a gentle curve, like water finding its banks again. A faint light bloomed in its eyes, green as spring bud. Slowly the darkness in the pool began to draw back, the oily film thinning, dissolving into the soil around the roots. Clear water began to bubble up, washing away the black taint and carrying with it a scent of crushed mint and wild flowers. The spirit turned its gaze to the girls, voice softer now, almost human. "You have reminded me," it said, "that roots can heal if they remember the sun. You have given me memory and hope. I will cleanse the water from here so that all may grow again." A low hum rose from the earth, not a threat, but a song, ancient and kind, carrying through the roots and stones. Even the twisted oak above seemed to shiver with relief, its bare branches softening as though new buds might bloom once more. Belle exhaled shakily. Myrtle leaned on her, tears streaming down her cheeks, and even Primrose and Daisy found themselves laughing through sobs of relief. Lesthara stepped forward, laying a proud hand on Belle's shoulder. "Well done, daughters of Bree," she said with deep warmth. "You have sung healing into a wound no axe could mend." The forest, quiet and listening, seemed to breathe with them. The Hobbit girls, still trembling with relief and awe, gathered their courage once more. Primrose, ever bold, stepped forward through the softened water, looking straight into the spirit's green-lit eyes. "Please," she asked gently, "are you truly an Entwife, or something of their kind? We'd be honoured to know you. And would you come with us out into the daylight? You don't have to hide here any more." Myrtle added, voice bright with hope. We can show you Goldberry's garden and tell you all the news from Bree. There's still so much beauty in the world. The spirit shimmered, its outline shifting with a softness like wind moving through reeds. Slowly it seemed to breathe a long, grateful sigh and nodded. I was called an Entwife once, it admitted, voice as soft as petals. Or close enough to one, though I was never crowned among them. I kept their seeds, I tended their dreams. When the fires came, I fled and fell into sorrow, forgetting my name. The glow in its chest strengthened, pulsing gently like a heart newly beating. Yes, it whispered, I will come with you. I would see the sun again and feel the wind. Lesthara stepped closer, bowing with a respect so deep it felt almost ancient. Sister, she said with gentle reverence, I have sorely missed you. Then in 2 short strides Lesthara embraced her with a fierceness born of years of desperation, and the two cried for a time. Tears of guilt, tears of sadness, and a rekindled sense of love and inner worth at being given a second chance. The Entwife began to rise from the dark pool, its shape resolving into a tall, fair being, bark soft skin traced with green veins, hair the pale gold of ripening wheat, eyes bright as new leaves. She stepped forward on graceful root-like toes, leaving the pool clear behind her, reborn. The girls cheered, hugging one another, hardly believing what they'd achieved. As the new risen Entwife stepped from the clear, reborn pool, the glow around her softened to a gentle green, warming the dark hollow. Her eyes, once hollow and lost, now shone with the memory of spring's hope. Primrose, voice trembling with wonder, stepped forward. Lady, she asked softly, do you remember your name? The Entwife turned her gaze to the girls, a faraway look washing through her emerald eyes as though she searched the deepest roots of her memory. Her bark-textured brow furrowed, and for a long moment she was silent, listening to something the earth itself might have whispered. At last she spoke, voice steady as a river after the floodwater passes. I was once called Lyriel, she said, tasting the word as if it were sunlight on her tongue. Lyriel of the summer crofts, keeper of seed and blossom, I had forgotten, but you have helped me remember. The girls gasped with joy, their hearts overflowing. Daisy clapped her hands while Myrtle scribbled down the name in her precious notebook as though it were the greatest treasure in the world. Lesthara bowed low, respect shining through every line of her graceful form. Welcome home, Lyriel, she said. May the forest know your name once more. The company turned, ready to guide Lyriel out of the hollow and into the bright world above. Lesthara moved ahead with Primrose, Myrtle and Belle close behind, their laughter and relief echoing softly through the roots. But Daisy, ever observant, lingered behind. As the others stepped through the arch of twisted oak roots, a flicker caught her eye. Something glimmering in a crack of the earth wall where the pool had once been dark and poisoned. She hesitated, then tiptoed closer, peering into the dimness. There, half buried in the wet clay, gleamed a shard of what looked like polished crystal, pale as moonlight. Its surface was carved with a design, fine spirals, delicate as the pattern of a snail's shell, glinting faintly with a green-gold glow. Daisy's heart gave a small leap. "What's this, then?" she breathed, kneeling down. She brushed aside the damp earth with careful fingers, revealing more of a strange object. It seemed impossibly old, yet perfectly preserved, as though waiting for this very moment to be found. The forest around her stilled, holding its breath. Daisy bit her lip, glancing nervously towards the door where the others were leaving. But curiosity burned brighter than caution. "No harm having a closer look," she whispered to herself. She wrapped her fingers around the crystal shard. It was cool, smooth, and surprisingly light. With a gentle tug, she pulled it free from the clay. The moment it came loose, a quiet shiver ran through the earth, as though roots and stones alike had noticed its release. The pale spiral glow pulsed once, then again, stronger, and a faint chime, like the note of a silver bell, rang softly in the air. Daisy staggered back, nearly dropping the crystal, as images flooded her mind. Broad green fields under golden sky, Entwives planting row upon row of blossoms, a great hall of woven boughs where music and laughter rang, and then flames, axes, and sorrow as all was lost. She gasped, tears springing to her eyes, the vision piercing straight through her heart, but the crystal's light grew steadier, calmer, as if to soothe her. A voice, gentle and old as rain on stone, whispered through her thoughts, "Seed of memory, keep it safe. It will heal where hope takes root." The glow then faded to a gentle, watchful green. Breathing hard, Daisy cradled the shard to her chest, feeling its warmth seep into her bones. "I'll keep you safe," she whispered, "whatever you are." Daisy, heart pounding from the strange visions, carefully tucked the glowing shard into a hidden pocket of her dress. She brushed the damp earth from her knees, took one last look at the now peaceful pool, and turned to follow the warm sounds of her friends' voices. She scrambled up the root-framed passage and stepped out into the sun-dappled clearing, blinking as the light washed over her. The others were waiting, just beyond the fallen oak, with Lyriel standing tall and graceful, the breeze stirring her corn-gold hair. Belle spotted Daisy first and waved excitedly. "There you are! We thought maybe the roots had grabbed you." Daisy laughed, trying to steady her nerves. "Nothing like that," she called. I was just checking one last thing." Primrose tilted her head, curious, but let it go for now as they gathered around. Lyriel stepped forward, reaching to rest a gentle hand on Daisy's shoulder. "Thank you," the Entwife said, voice rich and kind. "All of you have brought light where I thought only shadows remained." Lesthara smiled proudly. "Come, sister, let us show you the gardens reborn." And so together they began the gentle climb back through the forest's green halls towards Lesthara's glade. Daisy keeping one hand on her hidden crystal, heart full of questions but stronger for it. The hobbits, Lesthara, and the newly reborn Lyriel made their way through the quieting forest. Already the stream beside the path ran clearer, trickling with a sweeter, fresher voice than before. Little birds dared to sing again in the high boughs, as though the land itself sighed in relief. Daisy walked at the back of the company, fingers slipping now and then into her apron pocket to feel the smooth spiral gem. It pulsed faintly with a quiet warmth, reminding her of the images she'd seen, of Entwives singing, planting, laughing, and then lost in smoke and sorrow. She wondered, heart tugged by a yearning she could barely name. Are there others? Others like Lyriel, hidden away and hurting, needing only a song and a hand to lift them up? The shard seemed to answer with a small glow, as if echoing a quiet yes, or perhaps simply sharing her hope. Lyriel paused, awestruck by Lesthara's gardens. My girl, You certainly have been busy, Liriel said in a tone of playfulness, but there was no mistaking a sense of authority creeping into her voice. The group discussed what they would do next, and it was decided that they would head on to Goldberry and Tom's gardens and home. "If you think these gardens are grand," Lesthara tells Liriel, "wait till you see Goldberry's. I have only seen them from a distance, but this garden is a pale shadow to hers." "Give me a moment then, please." Liriel motioned down to her scant body. "I can't very well come strolling up to Goldberry's door like a strumpet. Let me soak in the light and blossoms and grow something a little more, shall we say, decent." After a time, Liriel fashioned herself, and when I say fashioned, I mean grew from her very body, in a slow unfurling of grass and ferns, a bodice and a skirt of living greenery. Paper bark-like texture grew over her entire skin. The hobbits, they looked on in wonder at her transformation. Prim whispered in Belle's ear something about trimming bushes, and the two laughed till tears flowed down their cheeks. The others looked at them with quizzical looks, but put it down to overstrain. When Liriel was done, the flowers nearby seemed to be a little less vibrant, closing their petals like preparing for night. She thanked the gardens and squeezed Lesthara's arm, mouthing thanks, and the party prepared to set off at once. The late afternoon sun slanted down through the trees, and a warm wind blew as the hobbit lasses took turns holding Lesthara and Liriel's hands, and bombarded them with all sorts of chatter, excited to show Goldberry and Tom what they had found. At last they came within sight of Goldberry and Tom's round-doored house, ivy curling along its warm stone walls, the sunlight creating lengthening shadows of the trees around them. Bright flowers dancing in the breeze, Goldberry stood in the doorway, like the sunrise itself, smiling wide and shining, arms open to welcome them. "There now," she called with bright delight. "You have brought back more than hope, I see." Liriel stepped forward, blinking tears as she beheld the safe, sweet garden. "It's beautiful," she murmured. "Like a dream I thought lost." Tom's deep, merry voice rang from the garden path as he came striding forward, blue coat and yellow boots gleaming. "Tom Bombadil at your service," he laughed, tipping his hat with a flourish. "And welcome, Lady of the Green." The girls laughed with relief. The whole company, wrapped in the gentle warmth of the place, even Daisy, still wondering about other Entwives, found herself smiling as she tucked the crystals safely away again, thinking, "We'll find them too. We must." As the gentle bustle of welcome settled, Primrose stepped forward, voice bright with emotion, eyes shining from tears and triumph alike. She placed a hand on Liriel's arm, and then gestured to Lesthara. "Goldberry, Tom, this is Liriel, who was lost and now is found, and Lesthara, warden of these woods. But surely you know them, or have known of them, for they dwell within your very land." Tom laughed softly and deep, rolling chuckle like a distant drum. His bright eyes sparkled with old mischief. And Goldberry smiled as well, her expression touched by both joy and sorrow, as if she held 1,000 unspoken truths. Primrose pressed on, heart suddenly heavy with curiosity. "Tom," she asked, voice edged with wonder and a hint of reproach, "why have you kept this secret from the world? Why, even the Ents searched in their heartbreak for their lost Entwives. Did you let them stay hidden?" Tom tilted his head, blue feather in his hat catching the golden light. His expression grew thoughtful, kind, yet impossibly ancient.
"Little daughter of Bree," he answered, gentle as old song. "The forest, it is its own keeper. Those who wish to be found will walk forth. Those who wish to dream will rest. Tom does not command their hearts, nor pull them from their safe places."
Goldberry added her voice like the river's lullaby. "The world is swift and harsh, dear one. These green souls were wounded, and healing is slow. If they had been forced into light before they were ready, they might have withered altogether." Tom nodded solemnly. "Tom watches and helps where he may, but each spirit must choose their own day to come home." Liriel stepped closer then, her presence tall and calm. "They did no wrong, sweet hobbit," she said kindly, "for I was not ready to remember until you came. Only your courage and your song could open the door." Primrose sighed, tears spilling freely now, but filled with understanding. "Then I'm glad we came," she whispered and hugged Liriel's arm. The evening passed in the soft light of Goldberry's hearth, where the river lady moved about like a dancing flame, laying out honey cakes, fresh bread, and the gentlest tea brewed with sweet herbs. Tom sang soft nonsense rhymes as he stacked the logs and whistled to the birds beyond the window. The hobbit girls sat, curled on cushions, letting the warmth soak into their weary bones and toes. Liriel rested near the fire, pale gold hair aglow, her eyes wide with wonder at the quiet comforts of a homely room after centuries of root-bound sorrow. Lesthara kept watch nearby, hands folded in serene patience. They spoke of Bree, of apple harvests, children playing, dancing on the green, and the creeping sickness that had led them on their brave quest. Liriel listened with deep gratitude, her smile gentle, but still shadowed by long-forgotten fears.